you and I, again, I don't hear many people talk about this, and I was always a scaler when I was in equities, and I'm a scaler when it comes to futures. I totally believe in this. I am not a scalper. For me, a scalp is 2 points, right? I do a lot. I'm like you. I may scratch a lot, and I may lose 5 to 7 points, but you know what? Over time, I make 5 to 7 points 4 times, and I lose it, one time type thing. So talk to me a little bit about that, because, again, this is not something that you read about in books. Everybody's like, oh, cut your losses quick. Well, I do believe in scaling in, and so talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I think there are really 2 ways to manage risk in any type of trading, but in terms of the futures market especially, and one is with stops, and the way that I'll define a stop, I'll be careful with semantics here. I view that as I call it a trade premise. Okay, so A, you've got to define why you're in a trade. Whether you're leveraging off of a support point, a resistance point, a trend line, whatever, you've got to define that. And then so long as that premise remains intact, you have a reason to potentially position for that trade.
Right.
And when that premise is no longer valid, however it's defined, there's no reason to be there.
Right.
Okay. I'm not a guy that says, well, you have to have 2-point stops. Well, what if your premise is still intact? You were just early. 2 points is going to give you right back to the support type of thing, and that's pretty stupid. So that's certainly one way. Another way, though, to manage risk, in my view, is via size. So, let's say you're trading, 30 contracts. I do a lot of probing. I call it, I'm a pioneer sometimes that gets the arrows in the back, or it's my chess pawn, so I've given up. In a chess game, it's a matter of adjusting your trade with size or managing risk with size, such that if I have 10 contracts on and I've defined my full lot as 30, in a way I don't really have to worry about stops because I'm already managing my risk with size, with reduced size. Now that's not to say if the premise for that whole trade sequence is no longer valid that I shouldn't be there at all. So that it doesn't cancel the other out, but so I use a combination of both, and the only thing you've got to be careful of, I think, when you're scaling in and out, is that you really have to make sure that you are adding to your position as many times when it's going in your favor as when it's going against you and the premise still remains intact. Otherwise, you can have your smallest position on for your wins, you can have your largest position on for your stops, and it ain't going to work in the long term.
Right.
So, with that one caveat, I think that an effective trader will use both tools. And then I think it becomes a little bit of what your personality is. If you've got the cost structure in place that allows you to do some scratching and re-entering and that kind of thing, fine. If you don't, a little bit larger stops perhaps. Going to fine-tune your entries maybe a little bit more. I'm not an instant gratification guy, but I do like it when my trades go my direction, and I don't like to be in the market much.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't either. I don't know how you look at the market. Let me ask you, do you trade overnight much?
Well, I'm flat at the end of every day, but I do trade quite frequently the European sessions. So,
but you're not. You're not trading S&P overnight typically.
No.
And I don't either.
I may be trading S&P off of the Europe Open, 3, 4, 5 a.m. So I'll do that, but I won't be doing anything right now, for example.
Right.